The galaxy was finally silent. For the first time in years, the stars were free from the thunder of human warships. The great fleets of Earth had fallen one by one, scattered and broken across the endless black. The Valoran Pact, a grand union of alien species, declared victory. They had fought humanity for decades and now claimed the final triumph. In the halls of the Valoran High Command, banners of victory waved proudly. Their leaders, tall and bright-skinned beings with glassy eyes, stood together and spoke words of celebration. "It is done," said Grand Marshal Taver, the one who led the last battle on Mars. "The humans are no more. Their ships are dust. Their homeworld is ash. The last of them died with honor, but still, they died." The aliens around him nodded. For centuries, the humans had been seen as dangerous, strong, clever, and unpredictable. The Valorans had feared them, yet respected them. But war changes respect into hatred. Now they believed humanity was gone forever. Across the galaxy, planets celebrated. The war factories stopped. The fleets turned home. The soldiers returned to their families. It was the dawn of a peaceful age, or so they thought. Far from any known world, hidden deep inside a lifeless asteroid, something stirred. Beneath layers of rock and metal, an old Terran facility came alive. Its systems hummed weakly, lights blinking after decades of silence. Dust fell from the ceiling as machines began to move again. Inside a cryo chamber, a figure slept, a man wrapped in cold mist. His name was Captain Arik Hale, once commander of the human starship Sol Reborn. He had been one of the last to fight in the final battle of Mars. When his ship was crippled, his crew placed him in deep cryosleep to survive until rescue came. But rescue never did. For 50 years he slept as the galaxy moved on, believing his kind extinct. Now, as the old facility powered on, a soft female voice echoed in the room. "System check complete. Life signs detected. Initiating revival sequence." It was Luna, the ship's artificial intelligence, loyal, calm, and still devoted to her captain. Steam filled the chamber. The frost on the glass began to melt. Slowly, the lid opened with a long hiss. Arik Hale gasped for air, his lungs burning as life returned to his body. He blinked against the bright lights, confused and weak. His voice was hoarse as he whispered, "Luna, how long have I been asleep?" 52 years, Captain," the AI replied softly. "I detected a power signal from the external systems. Revival protocols engaged automatically." 52, Arik whispered, sitting up with effort. His muscles ached, and his heart felt heavy. "The war. What happened to the war?" Luna paused. "Humanity has been declared extinct. All major colonies have fallen. Earth was destroyed. I am sorry, Captain." Arik closed his eyes. For a long moment, he said nothing. The silence pressed on him like weight. He had lost his crew, his world, his people, everything. Finally, he opened his eyes again. "Show me." Holographic images filled the air. The red planet of Mars covered in smoke, human ships burning in orbit, the once blue Earth now silent and empty. The Valoran fleet's victory banners glowed in the records. The galaxy had moved on without him. For hours, Arik walked through the silent facility, looking at the old machines. Everything was coated with dust, but still working. A small miracle of human engineering. The facility had been a secret outpost, built for survival, hidden from enemy eyes. "Is anyone else alive?" he asked. "Negative," Luna replied. "No active human signals detected within the local sector. However," the AI hesitated, "I have detected a faint transmission, repeating every 12 hours. It matches old Terran emergency code." Arik stopped walking. "Where?" "A mining moon called Ketra 9. The signal is weak but consistent." A flicker of hope passed through his tired eyes. "Then we're not done yet," he said quietly. Over the next few days, Arik worked tirelessly. He repaired the base's old generator, recharged the power cells, and checked the ship docked deep in the hangar. It was battered and worn, but still functional. His ship, the Sol Reborn. Luna's holographic form appeared beside him, a gentle blue figure of light. "Captain, your health is still weak. Long-term cryosleep has damaged your muscles. Travel might be dangerous." Arik smiled faintly. "Luna, I've been through worse. If there's even one human left out there, I'm not staying here." "Understood," she replied softly. Together, they brought the ship back to life. Engines hummed again, lights glowed through the hull, and ancient systems returned to function. As the hangar doors opened, the blackness of space stretched before them, quiet, endless, and waiting. Arik looked out through the viewport. 50 years, he whispered. "Let's see what's left of the stars." The Sol Reborn lifted off, leaving behind the asteroid that had been his tomb. As the ship moved through the darkness, Arik recorded a short log entry, the first human voice to echo in space in decades. "Captain Arik Hale of Earth Fleet recording. If anyone hears this, humanity still lives. I'm on my way to Ketra 9. I don't know what I'll find there. But I can't give up. Not now." He stopped recording and stared at the stars. They looked the same as they always had, cold and distant. Yet somewhere out there, hope might still exist. When the ship reached the Ketra system, Arik slowed to stealth speed. The moon Ketra 9 appeared small and gray, covered in mining scars and machinery. Alien mining drones moved across its surface, collecting ore for the Velaran industry. "Scan for the signal," Arik said. "Signal located," Luna replied. "Origin point, Sector Delta 3, beneath an abandoned mining site." He nodded. "Prepare for landing." The Sol Reborn touched down in a dark canyon hidden from the mining drones. Arik stepped out wearing his old combat suit, now patched and faded but still carrying the mark of Earthfleet, a small blue and white emblem shaped like a rising sun. The ground was dry and silent. He moved carefully through the tunnels, guided by Luna's voice in his helmet. "2 life forms detected nearby," she said. "Non-hostile." Arik approached slowly. Ahead, 2 alien miners, small, gray-skinned beings, were gathered near a fire. They were speaking in low voices, their language filled with clicks and hums. Through his translator, Arik caught fragments of their talk. "Ghosts in the tunnels," one said nervously. "Machines move on their own." A voice whispers old human words. The other miner laughed. "Humans? They're all gone. Stop believing those old war stories." At that moment, Arik stepped out of the shadows. The firelight reflected off his armor, and his visor glowed faintly blue. The aliens froze, staring at him with wide eyes. For a moment no one moved. The wind howled through the tunnels. Then Arik spoke, calm, firm, and steady. "I am Captain Arik Hale of Earth Fleet. Take me to your leader." The miners dropped their tools, fear spreading across their faces. One whispered, "Impossible. Humans are dead." Arik looked at them quietly and said, "Then tell your people the dead have returned." Far away across the galaxy, the Valoran networks picked up strange reports. Unconfirmed sighting, humanoid matching human species near Ketra 9. Possible survivor of the old war. At first they laughed, but soon more whispers followed. One message repeated again and again. "A human lives." And though no one yet believed it, a small fire began to burn once more in the hearts of those who had lived under Valoran rule for too long. Because if even one human could return from extinction, maybe, just maybe, the story wasn't over after all. The stars outside the viewport of the Sol Reborn looked peaceful, but Captain Arik Hale knew better. Behind that peace was silence, the kind that followed destruction. Every world he once knew, every colony that had carried human life was now gone. Humanity had become a forgotten story whispered by aliens who never believed it was true. Yet here he was, a single man, alive, carrying the entire memory of his kind. After the encounter with the 2 alien miners on Ketra 9, Arik had spent days hiding in the mining tunnels. He had learned much by listening. The Valorans controlled this system completely. The miners, from a smaller species called the Drell, worked for them as servants. They were tired and frightened. At night, in the cold tunnels, the Drell whispered about the ghost. Some said it was a machine built by humans before they died. Others said it was a spirit that haunted old war sites. No one imagined that the ghost was real, that a human truly walked among them again. Arik stayed hidden, watching, listening, and planning. Luna, his AI companion, helped him navigate the complex network of the moon's tunnels. "Captain," Luna's soft voice echoed in his helmet, "we have intercepted several Velaran transmissions. They are aware of your presence." Arik's eyes narrowed. "How long until they send forces?" "Unknown. But if they believe the report, it will not take long." He sighed quietly. "Then we need to move faster." Arik's main goal was to find the source of the old Terran signal. The emergency beacon he detected was still broadcasting every 12 hours. If it truly came from a human installation, it could contain valuable data, or perhaps survivors. He followed the signal deep underground, where the tunnels turned from alien-built structures into something older and more human. The walls showed marks of ancient drilling machines. The air was heavy with dust, but faint symbols carved into the stone caught his attention. Human letters. "Luna," he said softly, brushing the dust away. "This is Terran script. Someone was here." The AI scanned the writing. "Confirmed. This appears to be an old mining outpost, established during the second wave of colonization, approximately 120 years ago. It was abandoned during the early stages of the war." Arik smiled faintly. "Then maybe this is where the signal comes from." After several hours of walking, he reached a large sealed door half buried in rock. The metal was rusted but strong, stamped with the faded logo of the United Earth Directorate. "Can you open it?" he asked. "I will try," Luna replied. A moment later, sparks flew as the access panel flickered to life. Power restored. Opening sequence active. The door groaned and slid open, revealing a dark chamber inside. Arik stepped in cautiously, his rifle ready. His helmet light shone across old consoles, empty chairs, and the remains of a forgotten command post. Dust covered everything, but on one table lay a small transmitter still blinking faintly, the emergency beacon. He approached it slowly, wiping away the dust. "It's still running," he said in disbelief. "Yes," Luna said, "but it appears to be automated. No life signs detected within the facility." Arik's shoulders dropped slightly. He had hoped to find someone, anyone, but there was only silence. Still, the signal meant something. It meant that once humans had been here. It meant that they had tried to survive. And that, to Arik, was enough reason to keep going. He spent the next few hours searching the outpost. In a storage room, he found old supply crates, some still sealed. Inside were rations, tools, and a few functioning energy cells. But what caught his eye most was a small metal case labeled Project Dawnlight. He opened it carefully. Inside were data drives, hundreds of them still intact. "Luna," he said, his voice filled with hope. "Can you read these?" The AI's holographic form appeared, scanning the drives. "Yes, Captain. These files contain research data, fleet communications, and..." She paused. "Personal logs from surviving colonies. Some of the data is encrypted, but the messages are clear." Arik felt his heartbeat quicken. "Play one." The room filled with static for a moment, then a voice broke through. A woman's voice, human, tired but strong. "If anyone finds this, we fought as long as we could. Earth is gone, but some of us escaped. We're heading toward the outer systems, beyond Valoran control. Maybe one day someone will find this message and remember that we lived." The voice faded into silence. Arik stood still, listening to the echo of her words. "They escaped," he whispered. "Yes," Luna confirmed. "It is possible that small human colonies still exist beyond known space. The data provides coordinates, although incomplete." Arik smiled for the first time in years. "Then that's where we'll go." But before he could leave, the ground shook violently. Alarms echoed through the old outpost. Luna's voice turned urgent. "Captain! Incoming energy signatures, multiple ships approaching." "Velaran patrol units," Arik cursed under his breath. "They tracked us." He grabbed the data case and sprinted through the tunnels, his boots kicking up dust. Behind him, explosions rumbled as the Valoran troops landed near the site. Their sharp alien voices echoed in the dark. "Stop him," one of them shouted. "The human must not leave alive." Arik ducked behind rocks, returning fire with precise bursts from his rifle. The blast lit up the tunnels in flashes of blue and white. He wasn't trying to win, only to escape. "Luna," he said between breaths. "Can we reach the ship?" Distance 3 kilometers, she replied. But the Valorans are blocking the main route, Arik thought quickly. Then we'll make a new one. He planted a small explosive charge on the tunnel wall. As it detonated, a cloud of dust and rock filled the air, cutting off the Valoran troops. He took the side path through a maintenance shaft, climbing through the darkness until finally he saw the faint glow of his ship's landing lights. The Sol Reborn's engines roared to life as Arik boarded. Enemy fire struck the hull, but the old ship held strong. Shields holding, Luna reported, preparing for takeoff. Arik pulled the controls sharply, lifting the ship through the narrow canyon. As the stars opened before him, Valoran ships appeared behind, firing bright streams of plasma. Evasive pattern Delta, he ordered. The Sol Reborn twisted and rolled, its thrusters burning bright. Arik pushed the engines to their limits, dodging fire with skill that few pilots could match. Finally, after several tense minutes, Luna said, "We are clear of pursuit," Arik exhaled, leaning back in his seat. "Remind me never to wake up again," he muttered, half joking. "I will ignore that order," Luna replied in her calm, artificial tone. He smiled slightly, looking at the stars once more. "Good, because we've got work to do." Hours later, with the Valoran patrols gone, Arik set the ship on autopilot. The data drives from the outpost were now uploading into Luna's memory banks. On the screen, maps of distant, unexplored systems began to appear, fragments of human escape routes. "This is more than I expected," Arik said. They scattered to the outer edge of the galaxy. "Many of these regions are beyond Valoran control," Luna explained. "Reaching them will be difficult but possible," Arik nodded. "If they survived, they'll need to know they're not alone." He looked out the viewport, watching the endless ocean of stars. Somewhere out there, other humans might still exist, lost, hidden, waiting for a sign. For the first time since he had awakened, Arik felt something he thought he had lost forever: purpose. He wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was a messenger. Before shutting down the lights, Arik recorded another entry into his log. "Captain Arik Hale reporting. I have found evidence that humans escaped beyond known space. I will follow their trail. The galaxy may have forgotten us, but we are not gone. As long as one human breathes, humanity endures." He ended the recording and sat quietly. Luna's soft voice broke the silence. "Captain, the universe believed the war ended long ago," Arik smiled faintly. "Then let's remind them it didn't." Outside, the Sol Reborn turned toward the deep unknown, its engines glowing against the black void. The ship vanished into the distance, a single spark of human will traveling through the endless stars, and far behind, in the dark corners of the Valoran network, rumors spread faster than any official command could stop. A human lives. He escaped. The ghost of Earth flies again. For most, it was only a story. But for the enslaved and the oppressed across the galaxy, it was something more. It was hope. The ship Sol Reborn drifted quietly through the empty darkness of space. Its lights glowed faintly, like a lone firefly lost among endless stars. Inside, Captain Arik Hale sat in the command chair, studying the new map Luna had built from the recovered data drives. "3 possible routes," said Luna, her calm voice echoing through the bridge. "Each leads beyond known Valoran space. The first is toward the Tethys Belt. The second moves past the Lurian Nebula. The third leads to the outer fringe and the farthest edge of the galaxy." Arik leaned forward, eyes focused. "Which one has the highest chance of human presence?" "The Tethys Belt," she replied. "The message logs from Project Dawnlight mention a refugee convoy escaping that way." Arik nodded slowly. "Then that's our next stop." He stood up, stretching his sore muscles. The weeks of running, hiding, and fighting had taken their toll. But now he had a direction, a spark of purpose that gave him strength. Outside the viewport, a star burned dimly in the distance. Arik stared at it quietly. "Luna," he said, "do you think they survived?" The AI's soft light shimmered beside him. "Humans have survived worse, Captain. I would say the odds are in your favor." A faint smile touched his lips. "That's what I needed to hear." Days passed as Sol Reborn traveled through the deep void. The journey was long and silent. Arik spent his time repairing systems, checking old logs and training his body to regain strength. Sometimes he would stop and simply watch the stars. Each one reminded him of home, of Earth, now gone, yet alive in his memory. Then one day, as the ship neared the Tethys Belt, Luna spoke suddenly. "Captain, I'm detecting weak communications in this region. Unknown origin." Auric's heartbeat quickened. "Can you translate it?" "Working," she replied. A few seconds later, the speakers filled with static and a faint voice. "This is Outpost K-17, requesting aid. Supplies running low. We can't hold much longer." The message repeated twice before fading into silence. Auric stood still. "That's a human distress code," confirmed, Luna said. "The signal pattern matches Earth Fleet emergency protocol. Estimated age 15 years. 15 years, Auric repeated softly. "They lasted that long out here?" "Apparently, yes." He tightened his gloves and stepped toward the cockpit controls. "Then let's go see if anyone's still left." The Tethys Belt was a vast region filled with floating rocks and drifting debris, the remains of ancient planets shattered by cosmic storms. Navigation was dangerous. One mistake could tear a ship apart. But Auric flew with steady precision, guiding Sol Reborn through the narrow gaps between asteroids. Finally, they found it, a small metallic structure clinging to the side of a broken moon. Its lights were dim, its systems failing. The words Outpost K-17 were barely visible on its hull. Auric brought the ship closer. "Power readings?" "Minimal," Luna replied. "Life signs?" "Uncertain, but I am detecting oxygen inside." He grabbed his helmet and checked his rifle. "Keep engines ready. If anything goes wrong, you pull me out." "Understood," Luna said. The airlock hissed open and Auric stepped into the old outpost. The corridors were dark and cold. Frost covered the walls. His helmet light cut through the shadows as he moved slowly, scanning for signs of life. He found old equipment, broken droids, and frozen containers, but no movement. Then, in the command room, he saw something that made him stop. In the center of the room sat a figure, and not human but humanoid, a small alien with pale blue skin, wrapped in an old human jacket. The being looked weak but alive. When the light hit its face, the creature opened its eyes in shock. You're human," it whispered. Auric lowered his weapon slightly. "And you are?" "My name is Terran," the alien said. "I was part of the human convoy. They saved my people when our ship was attacked. I stayed to help them, but they're gone now." "Gone?" Auric repeated quietly. Terran nodded sadly. "The last humans left here almost 15 years ago. Their supplies ran out. They took a small transport and left toward the outer fringe. I stayed behind to keep the signal alive and in case someone came back." Auric stared at him for a long moment. "You kept the beacon running all these years." "Alone?" Terran smiled weakly. "Humans once saved me. I wanted to return the favor." Something deep in Auric's chest stirred, a mix of sorrow and pride. Even after extinction, humanity's kindness had left echoes. He stepped forward and placed a hand on Terran's shoulder. "You did more than you know." Over the next few hours, Auric and Luna helped repair the outpost systems. Terran, though weak, spoke eagerly about what he remembered. "The humans were led by a woman," he said. "Captain Mira Solon. She was brave, always calm even when food ran out. She said they would find a world where humans could begin again." Auric's heart ached at the name. Mira Solon had once served under him during the early years of the war. She had been young but full of determination. "Do you have any coordinates?" he asked. Terran nodded and handed him a small memory chip. "She left this behind. Said if anyone found it, it would lead to them." Luna scanned the chip immediately. Data recognized. "It contains a star map to a system beyond the outer fringe." Auric looked at the glowing map that appeared on the console. "Then that's where we're going." Terran looked unsure. "That region is uncharted. No one goes there. It's full of storms and radiation. Even the Valorans avoid it." Auric smiled faintly. "Good. Then they won't see us coming." Before leaving, Auric gave Terran some supplies and a small beacon linked to Sol Reborn. "If you ever need help, activate this," he said. Terran looked up at him. "Will you come back?" Auric hesitated, then nodded. "If I can, yes. Humanity always keeps its promises." The alien smiled softly. "Then maybe hope is not dead after all." As Sol Reborn left the Tethys Belt, Luna's sensors picked up faint transmissions spreading through nearby systems. "Captain," she said, "the message about your survival has reached several colonies. Many species are speaking of you now, the human ghost. Arik leaned back in his chair. What are they saying? Some say you are a legend. Others believe you are a threat. But among the enslaved worlds, I detect something new. What's that? Hope? Luna answered simply. Arik smiled. Then let's give them more to hope for. The journey to the outer fringe was long and dangerous. They passed through dead systems where broken ships drifted silently, relics of the old war. Arik often wondered if these ships carried the remains of friends he once knew. At times, Velaran patrols appeared, scanning for intruders. But Sol Reborn stayed hidden, using asteroids for cover and old stealth codes that still worked even after 50 years. One night, as Arik sat in the cockpit, Luna spoke softly. Captain, do you ever wonder why you survived when so many didn't? He thought for a moment. I used to ask that a lot, he said. But maybe the answer is simple. Someone had to remember us. Someone had to carry the story. And now that someone is you, Luna said gently. Not just me, Arik replied, watching the stars drift by. Every person who remembers Earth, every being who believes in what we stood for. They're part of humanity too now. Days later, they reached the edge of known space. The stars grew fewer, the darkness deeper. Strange energy fields rippled in the void, making the ship's sensors flicker. Entering the outer fringe, Luna announced. Coordinates from Captain Mirasolin's map indicate a possible planet ahead. Arik's eyes widened. Bring it on screen. Through the haze of static and light, a faint blue world appeared, small, half hidden by clouds. Arik felt his breath catch. It's beautiful. Atmosphere, breathable, Luna confirmed. Temperature moderate. Signs of limited life. I am also detecting structures, artificial. Arik's heart pounded. Structures? As in buildings? Yes, Captain. Someone has been here. He stood silently for a moment, staring at the distant planet. Could it be true? After half a century, could humanity have truly survived here, hidden beyond the reach of the galaxy? He clenched his fist slowly. Prepare for descent, he said quietly. Let's find out. As Sol Reborn moved toward the blue planet, the engines hummed softly. Outside, the stars faded into the golden light of a new sun. Somewhere below those clouds, perhaps humanity had found its second chance. Arik looked out the window and whispered, They believed it was over. But we're still here. Luna's voice was calm but warm. Welcome home, Captain. And as the ship descended toward the unknown world, a quiet signal pulsed across the galaxy. A whisper carried on radio waves. The human lives. Hope rises again. The blue world beneath Sol Reborn glowed softly in the light of its twin suns. Captain Arik Hale stood on the bridge staring at the planet below. For the first time in decades, he felt the possibility of life. Real, surviving, and thriving. Not just a memory of what had been lost. Luna, he said quietly. Scan for structures. I want to know exactly what we're landing on. The AI's holographic form shimmered beside him. Scanning complete. Multiple artificial structures detected. They appear human-made but adapted for local conditions. Life signs indicate several dozen individuals, possibly more. Arik smiled faintly. Then we've found them. Humanity isn't gone. Not yet. As the ship descended through the thick clouds, Arik studied the landscape. It was unlike Earth, yet familiar. Forests of silver-leaved trees stretched across rolling hills, and small rivers of glowing water wound between them. In the distance, faint buildings shimmered. Low, sturdy structures built from metal and stone, their shapes slightly curved to withstand storms that occasionally swept the surface. They've adapted, he said softly. They didn't just survive. They built a home. Luna replied, Yes, Captain. Sensors detect life forms moving within the structures. They appear cautious but organized. Arik nodded. Good, prepare for a controlled landing. I want to make a proper first impression. If they're human, they need to see someone who survived the war. The landing was smooth. The engines of Sol Reborn roared lightly as the ship touched down near a central plaza, where a small group of people had gathered. They were wary, their eyes scanning the skies for danger. Some carried tools or weapons. Others, children clutched at their parents' hands. Arik stepped out of the ship, his armor worn and battle-scarred, but his posture steady. Luna remained in holographic form beside him, projecting a soft blue light over the plaza. Who are you? Called a voice from the crowd. Arik raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "I am Captain Arik Hale of the Earth Fleet," he said. "I survived when the galaxy believed we were gone. I am here to find my people, and to remind you that humanity lives." The crowd froze, eyes widening in disbelief. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Captain Hale, is that real?" asked a young woman in the front, her hair streaked with silver. You're alive?" "Yes," Arik said firmly. "And I'm here to help." The people came closer, hesitant at first, then with more trust as Arik extended his hand. Their relief and wonder were palpable. Many had been born in hiding, never seeing another human besides their families. Some had only heard stories of Earth, of the fleets, of the battles that defined the last centuries. Now standing before them, a living human from that lost time made the stories real. One elder stepped forward. "You survived the war? You made it past the Valorans?" Arik nodded. "I survived, but only to find you. Humanity isn't gone, not while even one of us remains, and I've come to make sure we have a future." Over the next days, Arik worked tirelessly to build trust. He moved from village to village, listening to the people's stories, learning their struggles. Luna assisted by analyzing the old technology and helping repair the outpost's machinery. The humans had survived using ingenuity, adapting to the harsh planet, and relying on each other. Their weapons were simple but effective, their homes reinforced for protection. Still, their knowledge of interstellar travel had faded. They were isolated, and they feared discovery by the Valoran patrols. "They know we exist," said Arik one evening as he walked along the edge of a silver-leafed forest with a group of leaders. "But we will teach you to defend yourselves, and we will show you that humanity can rise again." A child tugged at his sleeve. "Are the Valorans coming for us?" Arik knelt to meet the child's eyes. "They thought they had won, but we are still here. And if they come, we will be ready." The child smiled faintly. "Then hope isn't gone?" "Hope never dies," Arik said firmly. Luna projected the old star maps across the plaza one evening. Small blue dots indicated locations of other possible human survivors spread across the galaxy. "Captain," she said, "if we reach these locations, we may find more humans. Rebuilding won't be easy, but it's possible." Arik stared at the map, his mind calculating possibilities. "We'll do it step by step. First, this planet. We strengthen it. Then we reach out. One human at a time, we'll gather our people. And one day, the galaxy will know humans are back." The crowd listened silently, awe in their eyes. They had never seen such confidence. A leader who carried the weight of centuries yet offered hope and vision. Weeks passed, and Sol Reborn became more than a ship. It became a symbol. Humans began training again in the ways of the old fleet, learning strategy, defense, and survival. Arik taught them what he remembered of space travel and combat. They worked together to repair old machinery, build energy shields around the settlement, and restore communication arrays that had lain dormant for decades. The people began calling Arik the Returner, a name that spread across the planet. It was whispered with reverence. Humans who had long given up hope now felt the stirrings of pride and courage. Arik knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy still believed humans were extinct. The Valoran Pact would not forget Earth's fleet so easily, but for the first time in 50 years, humanity had a spark, a flame that could no longer be extinguished. One night, standing atop a hill overlooking the settlement, Arik spoke quietly to Luna. "They thought the war was over, that humans were done, but we're here, and soon they'll see just how strong we are." Luna's hologram shimmered beside him. "Do you believe we can defeat the Valorans?" Arik smiled faintly, eyes on the stars. "We don't need to defeat them yet. We need to survive and remind the galaxy that humanity cannot be erased. Then when the time is right, we will rise." The twin suns set, casting long shadows across the settlement. Fires burned in the plazas. Lights twinkled in the homes, and the people of the planet slept a little easier, knowing they were no longer alone. Arik's next challenge was communication. Using the repaired arrays, he sent coded signals into nearby star systems. Messages of hope, warnings, and guidance flowed quietly, reaching enslaved worlds, hidden colonies, and scattered survivors. A human lives. They remember. They will return, the whispers spread. Slowly, subtly, humanity's name returned to the galaxy. Among the oppressed, a quiet courage began to awaken. Where once they feared, now they hoped. Where once they submitted, now they listened. Even the Valorans noticed. Reports began arriving at command centers across the Pact. Unconfirmed sightings of human ships, sudden repairs of old stations, unexplained signals. "A human alive?" one commander asked in disbelief. "Impossible," said another. They were all destroyed, but the reports kept coming. A single truth was forming in the minds of many. The humans had not been extinguished. One morning, Arik stood in the central plaza of the settlement, watching children play with small robotic drones he had repaired. Their laughter was bright against the quiet backdrop of the planet. A young boy ran up to him. "Captain Hale, look! I built my own ship." Arik knelt down, examining the small model. "You did this yourself?" The boy nodded proudly. "I want to fly like you one day." Arik placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "And you will. One day humanity will reach the stars again. Not as fugitives, but as humans proud and free." The boy's eyes widened, full of wonder and excitement. Around them, others watched and smiled. For the first time in decades, humanity was teaching itself to dream again. That night, Arik returned to Sol Reborn, preparing for their next step, following the star maps to the outer fringe and beyond. Humanity had survived one world, but there were others. Hidden colonies, secret refuges, stories waiting to be reunited. He looked out at the stars, his armor reflecting the soft glow of the twin moons. "We will bring them together," he said quietly. "Every last human. And the galaxy will remember what it means to face us and think the fight is over." Luna's voice was calm but firm.
"Captain, you are giving them hope."
"The galaxy will feel it soon." Arik smiled. "Hope is the most dangerous thing for our enemies. They think it is weak, but it's stronger than any weapon." And so, under the twin moons, humanity began to rise once more. The spark Arik had carried alone for decades was now spreading, and nothing, no alien fleet, no empire, no shadow of defeat could extinguish it, because as long as humans survived, the galaxy would always remember they never give up. They never surrender, and they always rise. The galaxy had grown quiet once more, but this time it was different. The silence no longer spoke of extinction or defeat. It carried the tension of uncertainty, the uneasy feeling of waiting. Everywhere rumors spread. A human had returned. Not just a survivor, but a leader. A spark of life that refused to be extinguished. In the outer systems, alien governments whispered the name Arik Hale. Some dismissed it. Some feared it. But all watched the stars with unease. Captain Arik Hale stood aboard the bridge of Sol Reborn, his eyes fixed on a distant star cluster. Behind him, the blue planet of the outer fringe, humanity's first refuge, glowed softly in the light of twin suns. Below, humans worked tirelessly, rebuilding what was lost, adapting technology from ruins and training to survive once more. "Captain," said Luna, her calm voice breaking the quiet, "scouts report Velaran activity near the Midway system. They are moving faster than before. It seems they are aware of our progress." Arik's jaw tightened. "Then it's time. We can't hide anymore. The galaxy believes humanity is gone. It's time they see the truth." The plan was simple but daring. Arik would lead a fleet of repaired human ships, small but formidable, across Valoran space to the Midway system, the very heart of their empire's communications and strategic operations. The goal was not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy that humans were still a force to be reckoned with. In the hangar, the humans of the outer fringe gathered. They were diverse, born on different planets, raised in isolation, many never having seen another human before. Yet under Arik's leadership, they now moved with purpose. A young pilot approached, holding her helmet. "Captain Hale," she said nervously, "are we really ready for this?" Arik placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and confident. "We've waited too long to be afraid. Today the galaxy will remember humans again. Today they will know we never truly fell." The pilot nodded, her fear replaced with determination. Around them, others echoed the sentiment. The return of the human spirit had ignited courage in every heart. As Sol Reborn led the fleet into space, scouts reported Valoran patrols near the Midway system. Alien ships, sleek and deadly, glided through the void. They had believed humans extinct. Now the sight of human ships, glowing, sturdy, and alive, sent shockwaves through their command. "Impossible," muttered one Valoran admiral. "They were destroyed decades ago." "They must be remnants," another replied, voice trembling. "Scattered survivors. But they couldn't rebuild fleets. Yet here they are, said the first, eyes narrowing. And they're coming for us. Arik watched the reports, expression calm. Prepare for entry into midway orbit. No reckless attacks. We are not here to fight yet. We are here to remind them who we are. The fleet moved in formation, a dance of old Terran strategy combined with new adaptations. Their ships were smaller than Velaran cruisers, but faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with clever technology recovered from abandoned colonies. As the first human ship entered the Midway system, alarms blared throughout the Valoran fleets. Communications lit up with panic. Identify the intruders, shouted the Velaran High Council. They are human. Impossible. Arik's voice echoed through the intercom of the lead ship. Calm, clear, and commanding. This is Captain Arik Hale of the Earth Fleet. You believed humanity was gone. You believed it was over. You were wrong. Humanity still stands. The words carried across the void, reaching Valoran ears, and even the enslaved species who had suffered under their rule. A shiver ran through the Midway system. A Velaran warship fired first, attempting to intimidate. But Arik had expected this. Human ships weaved through the plasma blasts, using clever maneuvers that Velaran commanders had never seen. One by one, the Valoran ships fell back, unprepared for such speed, precision, and cunning. Captain, said Luna, their defenses are faltering. Momentum is ours, Arik nodded. Then we show them what they underestimated. For hours the battle continued. Not a battle of destruction alone, but a display of skill, courage, and ingenuity. Humans used the environment, asteroids, and old fleet tactics to turn the smaller fleet into a powerful force. It wasn't just a fight, it was a message. Finally, as the last Velaran command ship hesitated, Arik ordered a halt. Sol Reborn hovered in the Midway system's central chamber. The rest of the human fleet formed a protective ring, unyielding and proud. Arik spoke again, his voice projected to the Valoran Council. You thought humanity could be erased. You believed we would not rise again. But here we are. We do not seek revenge. We seek remembrance. We ask only that the galaxy acknowledge we are alive, we are strong, and we will endure. Silence filled the chamber. The Valoran Council stared, stunned by the audacity, by the calm authority of a single human standing before them, alive, unbroken, and unbowed. For decades they had dominated the galaxy. They had believed humans destroyed. Now the very presence of one human with a fleet of survivors shook their certainty. In the outer viewing chambers, alien diplomats whispered among themselves. Some were terrified, others were awed. Even slaves in oppressed worlds watching secretly through communications channels felt a spark ignite within them, a reminder that freedom was possible, that hope had not died. Arik turned to his fleet. We have begun, he said quietly. The galaxy will remember humans not as victims, but as survivors, and one day it will respect us once more. Below, Velaran's ships remained frozen in place, unsure whether to attack or retreat. They had underestimated humans once. They would not underestimate them again. Over the next hours, Arik coordinated with hidden scouts across nearby systems, re-establishing communication networks, sending coded messages of hope to distant colonies, and reaching out to scattered survivors. Humanity was no longer confined to legend. It was present, active, and growing. Luna projected a holographic map of the galaxy. Small dots flickered across the stars, signals of human life, survivors emerging from hiding, colonies long thought lost. Captain, Luna said, we have begun the process of reunification. Human presence will be known across the galaxy within months. Arik's eyes glimmered. Good. We will remind everyone who we are, step by step, planet by planet, system by system. As the light of the Midway system's suns reflected on his armor, Arik felt something he had not felt in decades. Peace, not because the war was over, but because the fight had meaning again. The galaxy had believed humanity was finished. Now humans stood in full sight, proud and alive. He raised his hand toward the stars. This is only the beginning. Today we rise. Tomorrow the galaxy remembers. Behind him, the human fleet gleamed against the darkness, lights flashing, engines humming, a promise of endurance. Across the galaxy, the whispers of hope turned into a roar. The humans live. They have returned. Humanity is here to stay. On the Valoran High Council, the leaders stared in disbelief. Their empire had ruled for centuries. Their fleets had crushed the last remnants of humanity. And yet, here stood a single human with a fleet of survivors unbowed and determined. One counselor finally spoke, voice trembling. "It cannot be. This is impossible." Aric's words echoed across the system once more, soft but unwavering. "You believed it was over? Until the humans stood before you." For the first time in centuries, the Velerans hesitated. They had fought humans, crushed humans, and believed they were finished. And yet here they were, alive, united, and ready to reclaim their place in the stars. Outside, in hidden corners of the galaxy, enslaved species and oppressed colonies felt a surge of courage. If humans could rise from extinction, then perhaps they too could resist, survive, and fight for freedom. Hope was no longer a whisper. It was a beacon, and in the center of the galaxy, aboard Sol Reborn, Captain Arik Hale looked out at the stars, the human fleet behind him, the galaxy before him, and whispered quietly, "Humanity has returned, and the universe will never forget us again." The stars sparkled brighter that day, as if reflecting the courage, pride, and spirit of humanity reborn.